Hey guys, Jaybo785 coming to you today with a video game review. Now, as you can probably already tell, if there's any fanboys out there, the video I'm going to be reviewing is Final Fantasy VII. Now guys, I'm going to tell you straight up, there's going to be some spoiler alerts in this video. You know, the game is 16 years old, but there's still a lot of you out there that continue to put this on your to-do, to-play list. And that being said, I've given you fair warning. So, Final Fantasy VII, I've found myself playing through this game for the third time now. First time putting in 300 hours, making a lot of mistakes. The second time, my disc actually got destroyed, so I only got to the second disc, but I was so close to getting to the third and actually beating that with one of my best friends. And here, my third time, playing it once more. This time, strategically using that strategy guide to make sure I do everything right, get some alternative scenes, and to not make the same mistakes I did when I was a rookie player. So that being said, where do we start on this game? You know, this game is 16 years old now. Where do we begin? And this is where I'm going to start off with, guys. The things I don't like about Final Fantasy VII. Gasp! How can you say anything bad about this game? Well, that's why I'm actually starting off with the things I don't like, because there's so few of them. Of a game that you're going to find yourself playing 300 plus hours, you're going to find something that eventually begins to irritate you, especially when you play 16 hours in one day like I did. That being said, let's get started. The first thing is some of the landscapes are just fucking huge. And you're just walking and walking and walking. Oh, random encounter, walking, random encounter, walking, random encounter. And by the time you finally get where you need to fucking go, 30 minutes have already passed and you barely made any progress. That being said, I do kind of like that the large landscape, especially when you get the airship, the Highwind, because it actually feels like you're going somewhere. You look at the 9th Final Fantasy, the 10th Final Fantasy, the 12th Final Fantasy, the 13th Final Fantasy, when you get your airship of whatever sort it is, it feels like the world's moving and you're staying stationary. That's not the feeling that you get when you play with the Highwind on Final Fantasy VII. It actually feels like you're having to bank, you're having to turn, you have to go up and down. And that's a really nice feeling. Oh my god. This is actually probably my biggest pet peeve. And you will actually find that very impressive if you follow through this entire review, guys. Fucking ladders everywhere. And it wouldn't be such a big problem except they take like a goddamn minute to climb up and a fucking minute to go back down. And you know, it's just when you're climbing up ladders, climbing down ladders, and you're doing like Fort Condor or something for the Phoenix materia, it's just ladder after ladder after ladder after fucking ladder. It's like playing Chutes on fucking ladders. My god! So, that being said, that's probably my biggest pet peeve out of Final Fantasy VII, is there's just so many goddamn ladders. And it wouldn't be a big deal if you could go up them quicker or down them quicker. You know, slide on the rails like the firemen do. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, this one really isn't that big of a deal, but I found myself as a new player moving on. I spent a lot of money on a new weapon just to have it go out of style way too quick. It's something in the game, it's kind of nice, it's kind of shitty at the same sense, that sometimes you feel like you have to buy that new weapon to actually compete with the new boss, the new monster, because Final Fantasy VII can be a very challenging game, especially later on. And of course, you needing those materia slots. Now, I'm not going to familiarize you with what materia slots means. If you're interested, please go on and research more. But, you know, sometimes you won't have enough slots. Sometimes the slots give notes, AP points. Sometimes the slots give double or even triple AP points. So, just kind of annoyance more than anything. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to probably have 50% of you just go, I'm full of shit. Or 50% of you go, oh yeah, we completely understand. Now, when I say mini-games or mini-events, I'm not talking about things like the Golden Saucer, although there are certain times where at the Golden Saucer, it just feels like I'm grinding, where I'm not having fun with the game, where I'm having to play the fucking claw machine, or that stupid battle machine, or the arm wrestling machine, and yeah, I could take the time to do the bike machine or submarine machine, or even the basketball machine if I got the rhythm down, earn GP faster so that I can go on to the battle arena, which is actually what I want to do there. But that's not even really what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is there's certain little events, like where you gotta ride the fucking dolphin up on top of the electric pier in Junon, excuse me. And just, like grabbing the little swinging beam within the first 7 hours of the game so that I can go on to Shinra headquarters. Things that you're like, am I fucking doing this wrong? Is this actually possible? Is the game glitching out on me? What the fuck's going on? Things like that, or where there's like a little timer and it locks you out. Things like that. Those mini events piss me off. It feels like I'm wasting time where I could be doing something more productive in the game, like grinding out that experience, leveling up my materia, hunting for new powerful materia, getting better weapons, things that are fun. And it pisses me off. Now, I will say this about the game designers. There are some events that are very nice to break down the pace, where it's go, 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 constant, 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 where you're getting that rush of adrenaline, and you're barely escaping by the bootstraps, and everything else like that. You're barely hanging on, and then one of those little events come, and it kind of slows back down the pace, kind of puts you back into the game, allows you to get back into the story mode, which is something that I like about it when it's done right, and it's not just done for annoyance. Alright, this is another minor annoyance, but being my third time around and reading the strategy guide this time, I realized how many alternate pathways I missed. Now, the thing about Final Fantasy VII is there's going to be A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. And you're going to hit those key milestones no matter what. But from get to A to C, B is your alternate, motive. Now, the one that probably a lot of people know about is that at the Golden Saucer you get a date scene. And usually it's Ares or Tifa, okay? And usually it's Ares. But you can also get Yuffie, which is very rare and almost impossible to do, but if you play your cards right, you can do it. And an even rarer one is Barret, the big black guy, And so, it's one of those things, it's a little bit of annoyance, because this is a game that takes 300 hours plus to beat completely, to try to master. And yet, it has those little things like that, which would be kind of nice for replay value if the game wasn't so fucking long. So, it's a minor annoyance. It's not a huge game changer, but you can see how you feel a little bit left out. So, like I said, my biggest pet peeve was this. The fucking ladders. Oh my god. Here's probably my second biggest pet peeve. This is my third time around playing this game. I did everything right. I followed everything to a T. I'm getting to the point where I love the story, don't get me wrong, but I'm past all the quests where you have to follow that linear setting to the point where I'm on that second disc and I'm getting ready to go to free play where I can do all the mini quests, get all the ultimate weapons, all the best materia, the meat and potatoes of the game. And my game glitched. I lost over 120 hours worth of work because of an in-game glitch. It's really stupid. I had 3 save files. It's not like I was just being a dumbass and only using 1 save file. I did that once. Lost 20 hours worth of work when I was back being the noob player. Not 2 save files, but 3 fucking save files, and they all got corrupted because of in-game glitch. I did Google research for about an hour and a half, livid, needless to say. And every single one of them told me the only thing you can do is start over. Hence the picture of new game. So, will I continue to play? I don't fucking know. I think I'd rather try something new this time. It was just kind of for nostalgia type of thing. But believe it or not, I'm still more pissed off about the fucking ladders. So, I believe that is my last little rant about stuff that I hate about Final Fantasy VII. And guys, I had to dig deep there. So let's move on to what I like about Final Fantasy VII. You know, I could go on for a fucking hour, probably longer, but we're going to make that video shorter than this, or make it shorter than that. So, let's quickly talk about what I like about Final Fantasy VII. Now, I'm going to lose about 50% of you here. This spin-off that came from Final Fantasy VII, the original. You know, you have movies. You have the Cerberus from Vincent. You know, you have, whatever the PSP one was called. You know, with the origins of Zack and the origin of the Buster Sword. You know, you have everything like that. You know, there's Zack for you. You kind of get the feel of the missing years of Cloud. Get more background of Aerith. You kind of get how come Sephiroth became that fallen angel. You know, I played through this game, whatever the hell it was called, Crisis Core, I believe, or something like that. It was fun. The mechanics were fun, but it was in no comparison an original Final Fantasy VII. You know, it's something that has not been made. And reading up on that, because I keep going, God, when the new PlayStation 4 comes out, or the new Xbox, whatever the fuck it's going to be called, comes out, a Final Fantasy VII remake, redone, remastered, new materia, better graphics, all that kind of thing that all those fanboys have ever mentioned or ever wanted. If that came out, it'd go multi-platinum and it would launch that system's stardom. That would be the system to get. I've had this conversation with one of my friends before. Multiple friends before. So why don't they do it? Reading Square Enix response. We will not make a Final Fantasy VII remake until we have produced something of equal or better quality. So, when's it gonna happen? Probably not in my fucking lifetime. Final Fantasy VII, guys, if you read the reviews out there, it's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Shit, when there used to be a magazine called PlayStation 2 Review, or whatever the hell it was called, the big PlayStation 2 magazine, it was still getting like 7 out of 10s and 8 out of 10s, even when the PlayStation 2 was in its heyday, and PlayStation 1 games were long forgotten about. So going back to Crisis Core, it's a very good game. It's beautiful. It pulls a lot of the same graphics out of the original PlayStation 1 game. It's very, very sad at the ending. It's very difficult in the sense that it has that PlayStation 1 field where if you miss one little tiny thing, you can get 99% out of the game and not the 100%, so you miss out on the N+ mode. It's easy to pass up those one item chances. But it left me wanting, because at the very end, all it said was, oh, great job. Now play Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So, moving on. I already kind of bitched about the weapons, but one thing I really liked about Final Fantasy VII is when you equip a new weapon, you see that you have a new weapon. You know, Final Fantasy 13 kind of did this, and it was mediocre. I mean, Final Fantasy VII did a damn good job with that. I wish it would have done the same for armor. Understandable, hey, it has its graphics limits, but I was really impressed, and still impressed to the day. I still think the Ultimate Sword for Cloud is really fucking cool. And yeah, that sounds really geeky of me, but I thought they did a great job. The graphics guys did an amazing job on that. So, speaking of graphics, Final Fantasy VII being 16 years old on the PlayStation 1, and you gotta remember, guys, most Game Boys nowadays have a million times more power than the PlayStation 1. It is still stunning. Yes, the original graphics where you start off with the blocky Lego characters, you know, make you kind of cringe, especially when you first start to play it. You're like, oh god, it's like 8-bit era all over again. But what I'm talking about is the designs more than anything. The full motion videos are still capturing it, are still beautiful, still wow you. You know, you look at certain movies where the sci-fi effects were amazing for the time, and then like 5 years later, you're like, wow, how did I ever buy into this? Final Fantasy VII doesn't do that. It still captures your heart. And then the steampunk feel to certain elements of this game, like Cloud's motorcycle here, just amazing. It's something that everybody still wants to be wowed like that. Like that first time seeing something like that where you go, that's awesome, that's amazing, that takes my breath away. To be seen in another video game. Not just Final Fantasy VII, but any game. And to be seen in movies, in books. Something that captures you, enthralls you, makes you want. And I thought that they did an excellent job of that. Here's another thing, is I find myself being turned off by a lot of video games, and actually in horror movies in general, because you get something, or something happens, and you're just like, okay, let's continue. Everything, for the most part, in Final Fantasy VII has a reason why it is. It talks about Mako energy. It talks about where the ultimate weapons, where the limit breaks come from, where the magic comes from. It talks about materia coming from the earth, that being condensed and being a usable form of spirit energy. And not to go in depth about the storyline, but then how that translates to your character, your avatar, being able to use that magic to manipulate his or her surroundings. That's amazing. That's something in a lot of the new Final Fantasy games, or in the games in general, it's like, oh, hey, here's this big fucking gun. Where'd it come from? Why is it there? What do people use it for? Who, what, where, when, why? Nothing is answered. And is it just lazy storytelling? I don't know. Did they run out of time, money? Probably. Or do they just think that consumers no longer care? And that's something as a consumer we need to change. Oh, wow. The music. Of all the things that have really stuck with me, the music has the most. You'll hear little snippets of Final Fantasy VII all around you. The most famous one being Spotlight, apparently, which is the opening and the closing music. You'll hear this at a Walden bookstore. You'll hear this stolen in certain other areas. You'll be playing a newer version of a Final Fantasy and kind of want that nostalgia, and you'll get that through the music. One last thing about the music before I move on. I really thought that Final Fantasy VII did an amazing job that it has a huge soundtrack for every different style. You get that repeat of like certain Sephiroth's music with the bell, not the orchestra or the opera one, but the bell with the heartbeat, and it gets you going. It gets that chill going. I thought they did an excellent job. It doesn't have the modern day tune of a realism. It still uses some of the sounds that would just be produced by the PlayStation 1. And it still did an amazing job. And I applaud whoever came up with that soundtrack for it. And of course, like the little victory tune at the very end. Da 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 da. Can't help but love that. So, moving on about the mini games and stuff like that. I said that there's certain mini games that pissed me off because it just felt like a time waster. It's just how can we get more people to spend more hours on this game just so that they feel like they're getting their bucks worth. I thought Final Fantasy VII did a great job of, there are certain events I really want to do. Chocobo racing is not one of them, but there are certain areas where I found myself going, okay, this is side quest and mini quest to get this weapon. I actually enjoyed doing that side quest. It didn't just feel like a grind. And that's another unfortunate thing about a lot of Final Fantasy games that have come out, is there certain things like, oh fuck, can I beat the game without the ultimate weapon? Do I really need it? Do I want to spend X amount of hours to do this stupid fucking thing, so I can do this stupid fucking thing, so I can go on the stupid fucking side quest, and so I might die a couple hundred fucking times so I can get this stupid fucking sword? Do I have to have 3 of them, or 4 of them, or how many other party members you can have? Is it worth it? Fuck it, I'm gonna take a nap. I didn't feel that way with Final Fantasy VII. I looked forward to a lot of these quests. Guys, stick with me. This review is almost over, okay? So, the final thing, and other than the music, probably my favorite thing about Final Fantasy VII is the story. Amazing. You know, I find myself being drawn to the new games, being drawn to the movie, you know, being drawn to the idea of a remake. You know, and honestly, to be completely truthful, the reason I bought my PlayStation Portable was for Crisis Core. I wanted that missing gap. I wanted the story filled in. Is because they did such a great job with it. And I'll tell you what, the story is confusing as hell. The movie makes no fucking sense unless you've kind of played the game. The movie's pretty fucking horrible unless you played the game. Crisis Core, I'm glad I played and beat that thing pretty much completely before I watched the movie. Otherwise, the movie to me wouldn't have made a lot of sense. I was an interpreter for my group of friends when we watched that. And we were all excited. Playing through this game a third time has actually helped me connect a lot of dots. Rushing through this game with the strategy guide to make sure I got all the story, even like reading through the books at the library in the Shinra mansion, has helped connect a lot of dots. And like I said, everything makes sense for the most part. Everything's plausible. Everything is good. It's not just like, this happens because of this. Move on. It gets you engrossed. It captures you. It draws you in. And even when there's that huge twist in the storyline, you're able to follow it. And, you know, you see this in certain games now, or even certain movies, and you're like, I really don't give a fuck. You know? Oh, it's his mother was the murderer all along. I don't care. He was the murderer all along. Whoopty shit. Oh, he actually was a good guy all along, and he died. He sacrificed himself. He wasn't a murderer. Don't really give a shit. Fuck them all. You don't feel that way. You know, that was the great thing about it. Now, playing through this after Japan had those earthquakes and the nuclear reactor meltdowns and everything like that, it's kind of eerie with the Mako reactors because they actually blow off a section of this and it falls down and it collapses, and then another one, the underwater Mako reactor, it explodes. You know, one explodes and destroys a town, the other one pollutes the water. It's very eerie in that sense of being kind of relatable to that tragic event. Not to cheapen that event or those people's lives that were affected, but it was almost a foreshadow. Well, let's move on. So, like I said, the story, the graphics, you know, the music, the playability, the fun that you have with it. If you have not played Final Fantasy VII, you can buy this through your PlayStation 3 network. It is something that you should definitely make time for and that you should play with your friends and schedule time for so that you don't spend 16 hours a day playing it 3 days straight like I did. Also, save on multiple files. I'd say space it out every 5 hours so that you don't end up in the same situation that I did. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this review. I hope that it sparked some interest. Please post any questions or concerns down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer those in a timely fashion. This is Jaybo785 signing off.